Hey, this vlog is specifically for, supposedly I'm supposed to call them honorable. And I did a vlog about using that word recently from Castlegar. So, I don't know, I want to say your name in French, Nicolas Simon, Nicholas Simons. Sir, you know I exist. A ministry worker said at one point in response to your letter to the minister. So I'm just wondering, if you know I exist, is it a lack of courage on your part that your minister's office won't contact me directly? Or is it just a stigma that you place upon me that makes it that you don't want to deal with people like me? I don't know. You'll have to let me know. Supposedly in your biography, you were the opposition critic for various types of industries or themes, including the ministry that you used to oversee or work for, Child and Family Development and Community Living BC. These are, the first one is a ministry where if you talk to their staff in private, they'll say how inefficient and screwed up and pretty bad it is for the mandate that they have. And when it comes to Community Living BC, I've already delivered many times data online that says that pretty much they're kind of helping to devolve the cultures that they serve because they don't even know what life skills are. They won't allow people to teach them what it is, even for free. And that's pretty sad. That's gross negligence in those ministries. So I'd love to see what the notes are from your criticism of them. I'd love for you to send me this, please. My email is doctorhumanics@gmail.com. Dr. Humanix, one word, @gmail.com. Supposedly we went to the same universities, for our BA. I got my courses mostly in psychology, and yours were criminology. What's weird to me, though, is that my courses let me to write a letter to the BC Advanced Ministry of Education, which I will read online at some point as well, where I got a ridiculous response. I wonder what your courses led you to do in response to the things I'm going to talk about. Oh, for example, let me know if you think this falls under criminal activity. That we used to have our own workers, and they knew me, and we wouldn't have to repeat ourselves every time, and that these workers would not, through the path of least resistance and frustration in their jobs, where they just show up for the steady paycheck, and not a measurable form of altruism, is they just kind of really do a bad job kind of knowing who we are and what to do and what our lives are when they make choices. And they often just want to pass it on to the appeals and reconsideration process, which is incredibly incompetent. So is it not a good idea to save money and to reclaim some humanity by reestablishing a worker specific to an individual, a real person? Not just kind of files, but also kind of do it specifically at first with people that, let's say, are training for work or going back to work or self-employed or things like that. Now, your ministry knows that I needed to be for a court case in which I'm the plaintiff in court in September, and you still haven't answered this, and I even told a worker earlier this week. Can you explain why they haven't answered this, and why everybody's ignoring this? I don't know if this is too complex for you. I think your master's is also in criminology, but the other thing is, the only appeal and reconsideration I did was related to my self-employment with my driving school on Vancouver Island, and a Richard, which was the guy who was given all the self-employment files and supposedly was told by the boss of that office on Front Street in Nanaimo to close as many files as possible. Now, he admitted to fraud and dishonesty in the actual appeals and reconsideration, and also refused to accept that I was one of the first to receive a letter saying I was in the pilot program for an annualized income plan because of my seasonal business, and didn't want to account for that. I don't know if that's things you learn about in your criminology. Another thing is because it's so hard to find housing, and you guys seem to respond to service requests at a time where I had to give up on those things and moved on to other things, so you're never catching up. So in that time, I'm still with Territory Z on my ICBC insurance with their motorhome, which is more expensive, by the way, because of the flaws of how your ministry operates. So let's continue. Recently, I included again a letter called Maori Introduction, which is accessible to you if you really are head of this ministry. And it says some of my skill sets. And I've probably offered my resume in the past as well, and I'll give it to you if you email me. Now, you're in the Sunshine Coast, which is not as cold for a motorhome. And we seem to have, if it's really passion, like for me it is, I don't know if for you it is, but for child protection, for social work type things, for maybe cultural repair, but I mean you don't use these terms. So I wonder if you would offer me to go down there and work for your offices as the special consultant that I am. If you read that letter, I'll even sing in your group. And if you don't know that I can sing, you can see some of my videos on my YouTube as well. And I was in the first Victoria Idol and did very well. So Work BC has banned me because I was tired of the money laundering they do, which never reaches me. And they banned me from 3 offices, although I only dealt with 1. In that time, when my motorhome kept breaking down, is the garage that was having it repaired was covering expenses that you guys should pay, if not repairs, based on how you apply your policies in very different ways. Is they were also providing electricity and housing and use of the bathroom. They were also providing use of their phones and internet, so I could do online interviews for jobs. But you guys probably keep sending money for my existence to other places like Work BC. And I've informed you of this. I've informed you of so many things. I've informed you of various forms of fraud that I've wanted you to investigate that incorporates money laundering and incorporates policies or practices by your ministry and its workers and the business world and service providers. I don't know how you define criminology, but I tell you, we might not be living in the same universe here. The Honorable Nicholas Simons. So what I'd like to do now is for you to get to know my file very well, and even be in touch with a lot of the past ministers for that ministry, and get them to have meetings with you to get to know my file, because I mean you'd both be the only witnesses I would call in court, instead of probably a judge, just like in Quebec, saying, oh no, you're supposed to call your witnesses by name and address so we can summon them, when your ministry blocks us even knowing the first name most of the time of who it is that have these negative impact on our lives. So of course I'd be calling you. And the judge, I assume, would take you seriously. I mean, you have a bachelor's and a master's in criminology. I hope so. And you could even try your stigma or your lack of courage, escapism, in court with the judge. I'd love to see how that works out. So you are welcome to see my LinkedIn profile also, to know more about me, where it has some of the documents that I might not have to resend to you if you're interested a little bit in a person that's been a resident of British Columbia for between 15 and 20 years. It's hard to assess at this point, because I've been trying to leave in search of human communities where my human rights would not be violated. So please get to know my file. You can even, where I am now, try to have your ministry get money from the Columbia Basin Trust, who also kind of launder money around a lot. So while you do a transition to maybe more altruism, you can collaborate with them to move money around so you can serve people around here that I also see your ministry is failing miserably. And by the way, I'm sending you a link to this particular video that'll be uploaded on my YouTube, and a few others for you to study. But there's more. You just have to find them. I have 2 different YouTubes and 2 different Facebooks, although one is down at this time, and I'm not in a rush to reestablish it. So yes, Honorable Nicholas Simons, I will accept a public debate with you, and I will accept to testify in court against you. The ball is in your court, sir. Show me who you truly are, because who I truly am is transparent online.